Jamel Demons, better known as rapper YNW Melly, appears before the Broward County Circuit Court Judge John Murphy for a board hearing on Friday, September 15th, 2023. His previous trial ended in a mistrial after the jury was deadlocked and unable to reach a verdict in July 2023. Demons, 24 years old, is accused of killing two fellow rappers and conspiring to make it look like a drive-by shooting in October of 2018. Shout out to all the YNW Melly fans, all the people who said he's going to get bail, he's coming home, he's going to beat his case. I think you're gearing up for a big disappointment. I said it before, I'll say it again. Ain't no way YNW Melly is beating this case. No way. And for the people who said Bortland is going to beat the case, you're even crazier. But let's get into the details of what happened recently with YNW Melly as him and his team were seeking to get released on bail before the start of his new murder trial. So, rapper YNW Melly remains behind bars as his second double murder trial approaches. Now, after deferring his decision last week, Broward Circuit Judge John Murphy on Thursday denied Melly's bid to be released from jail before his retrial. The rapper has been on the Broward County Jail since February of 2019, when he himself turned himself in to the police. Now, that's a point of argument because a lot of his fans don't understand the justice system. So they're like, if he turned himself in, obviously he's not guilty. So why don't they let him out? Obviously he's not going to run. He's not a flight risk. Why don't they let him out? And he has been locked up since 2019. And didn't the law say it's innocent until proven guilty? Yeah. I get it. I hear what you're saying, but you got to pay attention to this. This is a special case. And may I remind you that because you turn yourself in does not mean that you are not guilty. You turning yourself in could actually be a part of your plan to look as if you're not guilty. Maybe if I turn myself in first, they'll say, he don't have anything to do with it because if he did, he wouldn't have turned himself in. So it's like a reverse psychology kind of thing, right? All right, so Melly appeared in court on September 15th of 2023 for what's called a Arthur hearing. Now, an Arthur hearing allows the court to consider setting bond for defendants who are charged with crimes that are not usually eligible for bail. In August, defense attorney Stuart Alderstein requested the special hearing to possibly set a bond for Melly before the trial begins with jury selection on October 9th. Now, this new trial is fastly approaching, and we know how the last one ended, and I'm not thinking this one is going to go any better. Give you some more about an Arthur hearing so you understand what's going on. So in an Arthur hearing, the state has to establish that proof is evident and that the presumption is great that the accused person is guilty. Let me read that for you again, so you understand why YNW Melly did not get bail. In an Arthur hearing, the state has to establish that proof is evident. That proof is evident. And that the presumption is great. That the accused person is guilty. This is a high burden. Matter of fact, this burden is often considered even greater than your typical proof beyond a reasonable doubt kind of thing. And, well, the state was able to do that. Melly, who's 24 years old, whose real name is Jamel Demons, still say demons, but people get offended, and I understand why, because of the psychological impact of going to court in a double murder trial. In the rap world, killers say they're on demon time. When people are about to do foul things or they're doing foul things, they said they're on demon time. Whether that's killing, robbing, whatever. So if you go to court and you're referring to him as demons, it is going to leave a association in the mind of the jury that this man is demonic. He's demonic. He's been demonic. He was named demons. You can't make that up. This is the first time anyone has ever asked you to look at a word that is spelled exactly how it sounds and call it something else. Tomatoes, tomatoes. Potatoes, potatoes. Demons, demons. So out of respect, we'll stick to demons. Melly, 24 years old now. His real name is Jamal Demons. He's accused of gunning down his childhood friends, Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr., Juvie, and Sack Chaser. And then, allegedly, it was supposed to be a drive-by, right? After spending the night of October 26, 2018 at a Fort Lauderdale recording studio together, Williams and Thomas, both aspiring rappers as well, with the YNW collective because they were a group. They were known as YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie respectively. Everyone in the group's name starts with YNW because they're a part of the collective. Melly is among the first defendants to go to trial after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law to lower the threshold for the death sentence to a 8-4 jury vote from the previous requirements for a unanimous vote. 8-4. 12 jurors. All you need to convict somebody on a death penalty case so they can be sentenced to death is 8 of the 12 jurors. You don't need all 12 anymore. The law said you needed 12 unanimously before. That has changed. And since that has changed, Melly is the first person in the state of Florida to sit before that new change. So it could apply to him if he is found guilty and if a jury, 8 of the 12 says death penalty, he will be sentenced to death. Now, there's a lot of issues going on here because a lot of people have been saying, listen, if the prosecution really wants to close this case, why don't they take the death penalty off the table? I understand it's a murder trial, but take the death penalty off the table. Hear me out. Try Melly along with Bortland at the same time. And then apply life without the possibility of parole. It was believed that jurors were having a hard time convicting a young person and sentencing them to death. Therefore, the jury came back hung. But prosecution said, nah, we're not taking that off the table. And that is not why it came back hung. Here's what happened. So Melly's first trial, his first trial ended in late July when Judge Murphy declared a mistrial. Now, after 3 days of deliberation, the jury told Murphy that it was deadlocked and it could not reach a verdict. Of course, we had other information coming out after that affected that decision. At the proceeding, Alderstein, which is Melly's attorney, Alderstein claimed that because the last jury was unable to reach a verdict, that there's reasonable doubt about guilt, meaning that the evidence didn't meet a high burden. He said, quote unquote, come on now, at least give him the opportunity for a bond because he's presumed innocent. And there's no way in heck that the state, based upon the lack of evidence, can carry their burden. So he's already arguing the case, right? Well, in her rebuttal to that prosecutor, who people seem to hate or love, I'm talking about attorney Christine Bradley. Christine Bradley said in her rebuttal, let me shed some more light on the mistrial. Then she went in claiming that a single juror who is actually a fan of YNW Melly, and that juror also lied during jury selection, and that is what actually caused the hung jury. Now, you know, in jury selection, they'll ask you, how familiar are you with this case? If you go in there at jury selection and you're like, I'm very familiar with this case, I'm biased to it, Melly is my favorite rapper, and I don't think he did it. I think, you know, the state's just trying to kill a young black man. That's why they got him facing the death penalty. If you say these things, you won't be selected as a juror. To be selected as a juror, the line of questions that you're asked, it should come off like, I don't know much about this case, but I'm willing to sit and listen to all the evidence presented, and I'll do my best to come up with a fair decision based on the evidence that is presented. And that's it. Well, she lied because that was not her intention. And it came out later, according to other jurors, that definitely was not her intention, because she eventually said, I don't give a damn what they show me. I don't care how. She didn't even care about the evidence. And you are a juror. You are there to care about the evidence. Your decision should be based on the evidence. But she uttered these words: I don't give a damn what evidence you show me. I don't care about no evidence. He's not guilty, and I'm sticking to that. Not guilty. Well, they tried to get her to, you know, listen to the evidence, to look over some more evidence. That's why they kept coming back to the courtroom a couple of times, right? Asking the judge if they can go over some stuff. All along, she didn't care. And then in the end, she ended up taking one or two others with her over to her side. So it ended up being a hung jury. Jurors complained that they were intimidated. You know, she acted as if she was going to fight somebody in there, and they just wanted to get out of there. And it wasn't fair to the process. So this is what the attorney, prosecutor Christine Bradley, shed more light on that mistrial, claiming that a juror who was a fan of the rapper and actually lied during the jury selection, she's the one that caused the hung jury. Not that the state couldn't prove its case. Bradley urged Judge Murphy, Judge, please consider the thoughts of the victims' families before making a ruling. In other words, think about how Sack Chaser and Juvie's mom and dad are feeling. They need justice for their young children who were killed viciously. We can't just go throwing bail at the person who we think did it when we have so much evidence compiled against this person. So appearing on a Zoom camera, right, Leandra Phillips, who is the mother of Thomas, said that she doesn't believe that Melly should receive a bond, given the serious accusations against him. As a matter of fact, she kind of let it known that she's a bit afraid of him. She said, quote unquote, I don't want anything to happen to me or my family, so I don't think he should be granted a bond. Melly knows where they live at. They haven't moved. And although other people might not know where they live at that are associated to Melly and want to find them, he knows exactly where they live at. They're afraid of him. And they're afraid that if he gets out on bond, fighting the case, he'll do everything in his power to make sure he wins the case, right? She said he got money. In other words, he has money so he can call shots. He could send them shatas and my family could get harmed. Witnesses disappear, case closed. Now, or at least on some revenge stuff. What else is going on in the YNW Melly case? So on Thursday, the defense argued that it's more than 10 court filings that Murphy should consider throwing out evidence that was extracted from Melly's phone, from his email addresses, and from his social media accounts. So all the stuff that you saw in court before that was already admitted into evidence and was already shown in the first court case, all the stuff that was extracted from his cell phone, email addresses, and social media accounts, his new attorney is now taking those back and wanting for those to be thrown out. Alderstein had warned Murphy. Murphy is the judge. Alderstein is Melly's lawyer. Alderstein warned Murphy about the slew of filings at last week's hearing, during which Murphy quipped that he thought the retrial would be simpler. That's what the judge says. I thought the retrial would be simpler, but apparently it's about to get even more complicated. It's going to be more complicated, he said. I will advise the court. Now, Alderstein said last week, we've taken somewhat of a new approach to certain issues. Melly is set to appear in court next Wednesday. According to court records, his trial, which could last through January of the new year, 2024, will begin with jury selection on October 9th of 2023. And we look forward to it. And I'm going to predict again, ain't no way he's beating this case flat out. The amount of evidence that was presented at that trial, I don't know why people are saying no evidence was presented or the state did not make its case. I think the state more than made its case. But I understand that there are a lot of YNW Melly fans out there who, you know, they don't care what he did or they don't care what he's accused of. They just want him to be free. And I don't know if it's a clout chasing thing or if it's they just don't care about justice being served. But if you watched this trial and you saw all the evidence and the way it was presented, the long, boring way it was presented, you would come away with the conclusion that he's guilty. At the end of the day, they have to do this all over again. And his attorneys are promising, y'all thought it was going to be easier this time? Nah, it's going to be even more difficult this time because we are taking a new approach. Let's see how this goes down. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll catch you on the next video. It's Hot Topics TV. And you already know, if the topic is hot, we're on it. Hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified because we will be following this one every day that they are at trial. I'm out. Peace.